Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of our trading bootcamp, the bootcamp that we've been talking about the past couple of weeks. So I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for it, and today is the day, episode 1. So what you could expect is episode 1, which I'm doing right now, and then episode 2 will be the trading basics. I'll be going over all the basics that would kickstart your trading journey. And then you got episode 3, which will be the full strategy breakdown. That's where all the fun is. Let's put it that way. I will probably subcategorize it as EP 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, etc., etc. Whereas EP 3.1 will be the daily buys. EP 3.2 will be my setups. EP 3.3 will be Momo continuation plays. EP 3.4 will be entry models. EP 3.5 will be exit models. EP 3.6 will be EV and risk management. And then you got within those sub EPs, you're going to have the bar by bar entry model, the bar by bar exit model, the bar by bar 3 minute, 5 minute, whatever time frame exit models. You're going to have the refresh setup in the pullback that I use a lot. You're going to have with a filled VWAP reclaim, filled breakdown, pre-market high, pre-market low, filled breakout, pre-market high, pre-market low, intraday local lows, etc., etc., etc. We're going to get all into them. And then you're technically going to have EP6, which I'm going to go deeper into expected value and probability on how I determine which trades give me the most EV. And I try to only trade the trades that give me the highest EV and where probability is 100% in my favor. And then risk management, deep dive into risk management, and then psychology and mindset, which will be the later episodes, and then backtesting plus journaling. And that will be something which I'm personally very excited about because I love journaling, I love backtesting. I still pay $200 a year, I think $250 a year for Trading Sim, which is a software where I could go crazy with how I want to rewatch 2005, 2006 Tesla price action or 2015, 16 Tesla price action, which helps me understand the shift we've done in terms of volatility and price action movements. Which helps me be prepared for any market that I'm trading and also see missing trends that we don't see in those markets these days. But as I said, we'll get into that as well later on how I journal. I'll show you exactly journal strategies along with my charts and everything. And then in the later episode, we're going to have a trading plan, how I every day make my trading plan and how you should make yours. And then the later episode is going to be the case study, a real chart plus breakdown. So I will throw a bunch of which we already have done. It's a 70-page PDF, which we will not be putting it up yet, but it will be in here. And that's going to be a case study with every trade I've taken in the past 2 months, starting from today, which is the 25th of November. And it will be a breakdown on why I entered, how I entered, the thought process, the logic behind it. And I'll just feed you guys in that episode, just feeding you guys with charts after charts after charts after charts. 100 charts, 150 charts, just for you to see my execution, to see the way I trade. And as I said, I give you guys real executions. When I talk about a strategy, when I talk about a technique, when I talk about a model, when I talk about an entry or exit model, I show you guys my own personal execution. I show you guys my own real charts that I've taken with real money. I'm not going to be going on TradingView and show you a bar by bar replay just like those fake gurus out there, those fake teachers out there. So keep an eye out on that. I'm very, very excited to bootstrap and start this bootcamp. So we'll keep it as raw as possible, minimal editing. I'll try to go and have a straight flow, say everything at the top of my head, and give you guys the real thought process that I have as I'm explaining my trading journey, my trading setups, my trading strategies, and everything between. And the purpose of this bootcamp is to show you the way I trade. Someone with 6 years of futures and equities trading background, and my experience lies within equities. I've been trading equity for the past 5 years, full time, and I think I'm qualified to be able to do this bootcamp based on the things I've achieved in the past couple of years. And the whole purpose of this bootcamp is to give you guys a better idea in the different strategies that exist, real strategies that exist, strategies that are based on real price action, candles, volume, the order book, order flow, and not just simple marketed techniques that you see these days all over the internet. So episode 1 will be welcome back to the Futures Trading Bootcamp. And in this bootcamp is where your real education begins. No hype, no shortcuts, just structured professional futures trading education built from the ground up. I'll be reading the presentation as we go along, because the presentation, I did put it all in my own words, put it all things that I probably would forget if I did it on the top of my head. So I'll read along with it, and it's also a good refresh for me to know what I have to talk about and as we progress further. Because as I said, I don't care how flashy this looks like. I don't care how fancy I have to make it look like. For me, what I want to do is get everything, all the points that are in my head, all the things and thought process that are in my head, put it out there on a presentation, on a piece of presentation, and hopefully be able to show you guys the way that I trade and everything that comes with it, even concepts that I barely would ever use, probably concept that I use once a year. I'll still try to add it in there so you could also take out the best and learn without any gimmicks, let's put it that way. So let's get into it. I'm very, very excited. I'll try to have each episode dropped one day after the other, but obviously we're a small team, and having these things prepared takes a lot of time, so bear with us. But I promise you guys, I'll be making sure and doing everything to have the top quality education, top quality information out there for you guys. So who are we? What's our mission? Our background? We are experienced futures traders who've navigated the market through bull runs, bear markets, and everything in between. So we've been trading all the way pre-coronavirus, pre-COVID-19, and after that. And the market before coronavirus and the market after coronavirus are two different markets. We call it the era between 2010 to 2019, and the era between 2020 onwards to 2025, which we're in right now. 2010 to 2019, we had a market where you had lack of brokers, let's put it that way, especially in the equities market. Every transaction that you did would cost you $10. So every buy order, sell order would cost you $10. So people were barely trading. There were a lot of inefficiencies in the market. Market makers and liquidity providers had a very easy time providing those markets because the spreads were thick, lack of volume, and it was very easy for market makers just to provide liquidity, provide quotes, etc., etc. And then we came into the era of 2020. Home people, a lot of people laid off from their work. We had an influx of people within the futures market, within the equities market, within CFDs. And a lot of people started using prop firms. And this is why prop firms are so popularized. Just $50, $25, $30, whatever, to get you already a high amount of capital without having any risk up front. And I think going over into the years 2022, 2023, 2024, with the stimulus package that the USA also had, a lot of money came into the markets, and suddenly people weren't interested in making $1,000 a day, $200 a day, $300 a day, and suddenly people were making 6-figure, 7-figure days. And I know a lot of people that are having 7-figure days, and I think the market shifted. And I could say that yes, I didn't trade 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, but I did trade 2019 and 18. And 18, even though I wasn't very deep into it, I was still navigating the market. I was still watching the markets, even though I was still a student back then. I wasn't trading full time, but I still remember certain things about market behavior. So we're talking about two different markets. And I feel like the market that we're in right now gives way more opportunities than the market that I was in back in the day. Having $1,000 day, people would even call you a fraud. They would say that's not true. And these days, having $1,000 a day is just whatever for people. And I think we've shifted into that mindset that trading is able to make you rich. And back in the day, every time you see it, most of the people lose money, etc., etc. That's that backwards mentality, that old mentality that people have. And I personally believe that, as I said, we've shifted from that mentality, and the opportunities are endless these days. And I hope that I'm also able to at least have a stepping stone in your trading journey. So I've nowhere been perfect. I've also had lots of blown accounts. I've also had lots of trading equity blown accounts, so not only futures prop firms, but also I remember when I was trading small caps, and in the small caps world, I was a shorter, and it was very easy for me to short. I would wait for some fluff news, that's what we call it, and it would go up 150%, 200% on the day, gap up, and they would have some fluff PR, and I would be there borrowing shares and shorting. And most of the time, at the end of the day, it would just roll over, fade the whole day, and we'd call them ADS, all day faders, and I'll be making my money. And then that would be 30, 40% of my money. But then, yeah, it would work for a year, and then we would have that black swan event out of nowhere, and the next thing you know, I'm in with $3,000 in a short position, and that thing just keeps on halting up, rallying up. And in my mind, I'm like, it has to roll over at some point. And I'm just shorting more and more. And the next thing you know, I'm down $18,000, and I'm in debt to my broker $5,000, because with shorting, you're borrowing money from your broker. And the next thing I know, I've not only blown an account, I've also borrowed $6,000 that's not mine, and now that I have to pay back. So I've seen a lot of bad days, and just like everybody, like if you go over to any successful trader that have made it, they would tell you the same thing. There are a lot of blown accounts, a lot of painful lessons, and a lot of countless hours of screen time, and that's something you cannot cheat. You can't cheat your way into that. You need hours, you need screen time, you need to build that experience, you need to watch the charts. And that's what I'm also trying to tell you. Even though I can give you the framework, I can give you the model, I can give you the theory, you need screen time to understand those concepts. So please, this isn't just a get rich quick scheme or whatever. And yeah, our experience isn't theoretical. It's built on real trades, real risk, and real money on the line every single day. As you guys know, I also live stream every day. I live stream on TikTok and YouTube for now, and I'm live every day together with another trader, and we've been keeping it as raw as possible. If you join my Discord, you'll be able to see all the trades in the past 4 or 5 months. Everything is on there. All my charts are on there. All my screenshots are on there, and all my streams are recorded back into YouTube, so they're already on there. So you could watch that, and so you know, like whenever I talk something, you know, my money is on my mouth. Let's put it that way. And yeah, our mission is to bring professional equity style trading strategies, in bold, equity style trading strategies. No ICT concept, no this concept, no that concept, no fluff concept, no 369 concept. Real equities trading strategies. Equity people, like I could even at the end of this slide, I'll also name some people that are 8-figure, 9-figure traders, equity traders that started like us, retail traders that are now way above our league, way above all those fluff ICT traders, SMC traders or whatever. And I'm bringing equity style trading strategies into the futures world. I'm showing the futures people that there's another way of trading, a real way of trading. So yeah, the future space is flooded with hype and empty promises. I don't want to be too much naming on the people, and we're just here to change that. And I think in the past 4 or 5 months that I've been diving into this content creation endeavor, and I've been trading live streaming every day, showing my trades every day on Discord, that I've sort of proved that the way I trade, the equity style that I trade, that it works, and I've been doing pretty well, which you could go back and look on watch on my Discord, that I can even pop some of my charts into this, or some of my weekly results or monthly results into this slide. And yeah, our goal is simple: give you the structure, mindset, and tools to become a self-sufficient trader who understands context, risk, and execution at a professional level. Who am I? Well, yeah, who am I? I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I was 17 years old when I first started trading oil on Plus 500, CFD broker. Didn't know anything. I call it trading, but back in the day, what I did was just simply gambling. And we were just in class with my friends, and we were using MetaTrader 4 at that time, and just entering long and short positions, thinking that we knew something, and then over leverage, we would deposit $50, and then we would be gambling that $50, and somehow it would turn 200, and we thought we were doing something. And, you know, after a couple of months, that thing faded away, that interest faded away by everyone. But for me, because I always had that interest in financial markets, I was watching financial market movies and everything, it stayed with me. And I started diving into the internet, searching things. And on YouTube, you had a couple of fake traders, which back in the day, I thought they were real. And I started joining the Discords and everything. And soon I realized that, you know, the education isn't there, nothing is there. And I sort of gave it up until 3-4 months later, where I randomly opened MetaTrader 4 again, and I had like $30 in there, and I started really studying what patterns were repeating themselves. And I was like, okay, so this happened. The candles went up, and I was back then looking at the daily chart and the hourly chart, and then I went to the second chart and never understood what I did. But I do know that I was looking for patterns, and this is how I realized that patterns were working. I needed someone to guide me through that. So I started going to Twitter. I never had Twitter. I started making a Twitter account, and from Twitter, I started learning a lot of things. I was watching good traders that weren't selling everything, that weren't selling anything, and that was for me a good guidance on knowing who's real and who wasn't. And I was looking at their chart, and some people really were putting their charts out there and they were showing their execution, and I was able to study those executions. And then I was in Discord and made a lot of friends, and some of my friends turned into my mentor that were already doing very well. And then I came to a point, my last mentor, one of the best traders I've ever met, helped me become who I was. And I came to a point where I started diving deeper into it. I started trading small caps because my friends were trading small caps. My internet friends were trading small caps. And then I started trading large caps. And I went back to CFDs. And then I needed the more leverage because my capital was very low. Because then back then when I started, preference barely existed. I remember FTMO and them existed, but price was so high that I was like, I'd rather trade my own $500 instead of having a 100K account for $500. So I remember I just started trading my own $500, and every time I would blow it, and every time I would redeposit. And back then I was a student, and I was also working part-time as at the supermarket, filling shelves. So so that's actually who I was and how I got into trading. And then that was the beginning. So I started trading with curiosity and zero clue what I was doing. Lost money fast. Realized this game requires real education and discipline. And I found out that the hard way, like even in the beginning, that discipline took a while for me to come into my system. And then you had number 2, building experience. I spent years studying price action, and that was for me the shift. I started letting go of boiling bands, started letting go of Ishimoku clouds or whatever you call them. I started letting go of EMA crossovers, started letting go of volume profiles. I started letting go of everything, and I was like, those are all lagging indicators. I need to find structure and price action and understand context. So what is happening in the world? How is it setting up on the daily, etc., etc. And this is how I was able to become who I am today. That mix of price action, understanding OHLC, daily candles, and understanding the context that we're in. So I started focusing on intraday strategies, understanding how institutional players move markets, and I just put that in there, but I think that term institutional players, institutional levels are a bit overused. They're overused, and they're not what people make them seem like. So we'll get back into that later. As I said, this episode will only be going into the basics. And then I started finding my edge, and I think it would be a lie if I said that I found my edge. I found my edge by taking strategies on the internet. And all the strategies that people use these days, they were already existing on the internet. Whether you talk about ICT, SMC, whatever, even what I trade, pure price action, those things already exist on the internet. Nobody is a founder of a system. Nobody founded the system. Nobody's a creator of a strategy. It's all already on the internet. People were already using it 100 years ago. So I think don't get fooled by that as well. I am not the founder of a system. They're not a founder of a system. ICT is not a founder of a system. They're just renaming them, marketing concept, blah, blah, blah. So I found my edge. And with what I mean with I found my edge, I found a system that worked for me, a structure that worked for me. I started understanding that if this lined up, which is context, price action lined up, structure lined up, I had a trade. And this is what worked for me, and this is how I found my edge. And that edge came from my friends. They came from my old mentor. I've had only one mentor this whole trading series. For the rest, I had to really grind and find everything on the internet. And mind you, back in the day, you barely had anything on the internet. It was very difficult. All you had was basic support and resistance levels, blah, blah, blah. And nowadays, I do believe that the education did go up, but gimmicks also went up. So it's hard to find a balance between education and marketing gimmicks. So I stopped chasing setups, started trading what the market gave me, now what I wanted to give me. And patience came into my edge, discipline came into my edge, and then we're at today, 5 years full-time in. I think I could even show you guys. I'll have to remove the presentation for a bit if I can. Well, yeah, I'll just pop it up on the screen. yeah, we're at the point where I've been trading full-time 5 years now, and I have a portfolio of around $320,000, which last year was at 220. So I've gained $100,000 on that portfolio equity, on my equity on my portfolio. That's for the equities market, and I've been netting around $20,000 every month on the prop firm side of things, which I will step up and leverage more next year. But we'll get into that as well, how you could leverage prop firms. And I'm now trading at a small office, cozy office, and we're doing that with 3 other people, which are also fully focused on equities, fully focused on futures. And this is who we are today. 5 years of experience. The other have 4 years full-time experience, and we've been doing 3 years of full-time within the office. So 5 years, the first 2 years were at home, and then we started realizing we need more eyes, we need more ears, we need to do things together. Let's fully focus on having an office and trade side by side. And this is actually who we are these days. And this is why we also started this whole endeavor of content creation. What we trade and how we trade. So what we trade, as I said, is the futures market. We trade futures, mainly the ES and Q, and then the micros of them, so the MES and the MNQ, and other liquid contracts alongside equities like Tesla, Nvidia, CRWV, I could name them all. And then also mid caps. And I've seen, like, maybe this could help. I have a whole sticky note of my watch list that I use every time. So I don't know if you guys could see. So, 20th of August, let's go back. This is the oldest that I still have. 20th of August, what did I trade? I was watching the QQQ, which is the same as MNQ. I traded Tesla, MSTR, Nvidia, Circle, and Palantir. 21 August, I traded PTIX, QQQ, TEM. Or AI companies. 22 August, I traded the IWM, US 30, Tesla, SPY, Coin, and TEM. As you can see, I could show it probably a bit better here. I don't know if you guys could see it, but this is then amongst many of the other papers that I have. So I trade a mix of everything together. And then 28 October, the last one, I had IWM, GLD, XALGT, VSEE, and FRGT. So those are small cap companies, and I remember I shorted them. So I trade a variety of instruments, and yeah, small cap like DVLT, CGET. And yeah, I started trading futures for the prop firm, for the leverage and everything. And this is what it's also going to be corely about. But the strategy that I will be explaining in the coming episodes will be for everything. So they'll not only be futures, but they'll also be covering small cap, mid cap strategies. As in, I'll not be covering them, but the strategies that I explain are perfectly applicable back to those markets as well. So the core approach is our style is built on structure, context, and price action. Just like as I spoke about a couple of minutes ago, we don't rely on indicators, read the market's behavior, and react accordingly. Every trade is based on understanding where we are in the market structure and what the context is telling us about the next move. And if you've been in my Discord and my streams, you would understand this perfectly. The daily bias, I have a bias, I trade that bias, and I find setups that align with my bias within that same context. Execution philosophy. I take pride in my execution. I've created a entry model and exit model. And once again, it would be a lie and it would be false of me to say I created. Nobody created anything within the trading space. None of the gurus you look at, nobody. What I did, I perfected for my own use. That's what I did. So we adapted to what the market gives us. Some days are for scalping quick moves. Other days are for holding through pullbacks. So some days you could see me saying it's going to be an inside day. With an inside day, that means I'll only be scalping quick moves, out range levels. I enter a trade, I don't hold through pullbacks because I know it's going to be an inside day. It's probably going to be choppy. I could be wrong. But if my bias tells me that, I'd rather trade that way and secure my 20, 30, 40 points and have my base hits. And on other days, for instance, I don't know when this is going to be out, but like yesterday, on the 24th of November, I knew that the market was bullish and I knew that we would have a range day. And I was like, okay, I'm holding through pullbacks. And this is the difference between understanding and adapting to what the market gives you. So once again, in bold, the key is context-driven decision-making. Context-driven decision-making. A pullback in a bullish market going up and a pullback in a bearish market are not the same two things. So what you're used to, what you hear from people is an FVG there is just an FVG within that. No, it's not like that. Context determines what a good setup is. Context determines all of that. Context determines whether a setup is an positive EV or a negative EV. And I'll get all into that in the coming episode. So I won't bother you guys with that right now. And yeah, entry exit models. We'll get into that as well. No single approach works every day. Professional traders adapt to conditions, and I feel like we fall within that exactly. Our trading style is intraday at core, so we still intraday trade. I barely hold trades overnight. I don't remember the last time that I even did that. A maximum 20 minutes in a trade, from 50 seconds, 30 seconds, all the way to 20 minutes. That's a maximum for me. So I'm an intraday trader at core. Our primary focus is intraday trading, capturing moves with a single session, but we're not rigid. As I said, we adapt based on what the market gives us. Scalping fast moves. When the market is choppy, just what I talked about, I don't hold through pullbacks. We take quick scalps, in, out fast, backing small wins repeatedly, hitting my base hit. And then you got your intraday swings. I call them intraday swings. What I mean with intraday swings, they're like, I swing intraday, so I hold through pullbacks. I'm okay with holding through pullbacks if context allows me to, if I'm trying to hit those home runs, if I'm trying to hit those 10R, 15R, 20R trades. And yeah, that's when structure is clean, momentum is strong, and we hold through pullback to capture larger intraday moves. And then once again, that's all context driven. Daily buys, setup quality, EV, market conditions determine our approach. Flexibility is key to consistent profitability. So you have to be flexible enough to understand when to scalp for those fast moves and when to hold for intraday swings. And we'll get into that as well. As I said, quick note, those concepts will be explored in depth later, so please don't worry. As I said, they will be coming out soon. And for now, just try to understand, you know what the thing is, why I'm going over these things is so that as you're watching this, maybe you're a swing trader at core, maybe you're not even interested in intraday trading, then you could already know, okay, you know what, I'm going to watch this episode, maybe I can take a good thing out of it, but then you already know that the way I trade is completely misaligned with the way you trade. So this is why I'm trying to give a quick introduction, a brief introduction into what we are and what we do. Purpose of this bootcamp. This is where all the fun begins. So why I created this bootcamp? I was kind of fed up with all those techniques and everything I was finding on YouTube, and I was never even planning to make this bootcamp, frankly. So I was on Discord, and I have my little Discord community, and I started realizing that a lot of people were DMing me in private asking, how do you trade? And then I started giving a whole paragraph, 30 minutes explaining everything. And I started realizing I can't just explain every time someone DMs me, how do you trade? And explain in text the way I trade, because how do I trade? I started asking myself, I don't know, how do I trade? It isn't just if A then B, if B then C, if C then D, you know? So I was like, okay, the best thing for me to do is a bootcamp. And I even told some people when I didn't have the time and energy to reply to people, to tell them, like, just watch YouTube, you'll find plenty of things on there. And then they would come back sending me links like, yeah, is this a good video to watch? And then I would always see it's always the same marketing gimmicks, the same techniques that people claim. All you have to do is, if it pulls back into the pre-market high, long. And it just doesn't work that way. But what if it fills the pre-market high? What if it grabs liquidity from below the pre-market high, reclaims pre-market high, and then goes? What do you do then? So it isn't as simple as people make it sound like on YouTube. And you could pause this video or whatever, go to YouTube, write trading technique, go look at whoever has a lot of views, and you will notice one thing. None of them uses real life examples. None of them show you their entry and exit. None of them have charts of execution. None of them, go watch it. None of them are even able. Go even tell that them in the comments. They'll probably block you. None of them have executions on their charts. And one thing which I promise you guys that I will do is bring that change. I'll make sure that every example I have, every strategy I talk about, every technique I talk about, every entry, every exit, you'll see an execution of my chart. So you know that I know what I'm talking about. So you know that it isn't that simple, that you could also see my flows as a trader. And I'll also go over what I could have done better in certain instances. But just as I said, you could pause this video, go to some of the trading techniques, YouTube videos with a lot of views on there, with millions of views, and you will see all they do is trading view replay. They just go into the trading view replay and they're like, yeah, see how easy it is? They go back, click OK. They've already looked at the chart at hindsight and they're like, okay, look, if this happens, then you do this. And then of course it's going to work out perfectly in the YouTube video. I'm not going to name them, but of course it's going to work out perfectly because the guy already went over to the trading view bar replay, chooses the best moment where this strategy, handpicks the best moment where this strategy would work, and then he's going to show you, Oh, look, guys, see, this is that simple. All it did is a pull back to pre-market low and bam, you made money. Doesn't work that way. Don't take advice from anyone that doesn't show you executions. And I swear that's where I'll bring the difference in. I'll show you every execution, every chart, so you know that, so you could see the real side of trading. So yeah, purpose of this bootcamp is the future education space is broken, as I just mentioned. It's filled with hype, unrealistic promises, and strategies that don't work in real market conditions. The bootcamp exists to give you real structured education that prepares you for the reality of trading, not the fantasy. We're bringing professional grade strategies to traders who are serious about building a career in futures trading. Whether it's futures trading, equities trading, whatever it is, strategy that we go over, they work in every market, whether you're trading wheat or eggs. Foundations and basics, starting from zero, what futures are, how they work, and the fundamental concepts you need. 2. Structure and context, learning to read market structure and understanding context, the foundation of every good trade. Execution and management, how to enter trades, manage risk, scale in and out of positions like a professional, what they in the equities world call pyramiding. And we'll get all into that, but not for the introduction right now. Advanced strategies, building on the foundation with advanced concept, psychology, and mastery level execution. So that's the purpose of this bootcamp. Show you everything from A to Z. Start from the basics, give you the core, and then go into the in-depth analysis, in-depth strategies that I've developed for myself. What this bootcamp is and what it's not. As I said, let me reiterate from the beginning. This is not a get-quick-rich scheme. This is not a false promise or myth where I tell you guys, if you follow this framework tomorrow, you'll be a professional trader and you'll be able to make tens of thousands of dollars every month. No, doesn't work that way. You'll also see from my executions, you'll also see from my charts, it simply doesn't work that way. You have to have the screen time. You have to put the time in. You have to journal. And I'll also have a specific episode on the way I journal. Trust me, if I traded 10 tickers every day, 10 instruments, I've had a screenshot. You could go into my Discord, spoken about this a lot as well. You can even on one of my shorts, even show the snippet of that. I have a screenshot of the 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and the daily. There are 5 screenshots. Times 10, 50 screenshots in a day, where I journal them one by one, writing what happened on the day, why I took the trade, why I exited, what I could have done better. I've been doing this for the past 3 years, every day, which is something around 50 screenshots every day for 10 tickets that I trade. We're talking about 365 times 50. We're talking about 2,000, around 2,000, 1,500 screenshots every year. 5,000 screenshots every year. 5,000 journals I've done in the past 3 years. And this is how you get serious. Trust me, without journaling, you're not going to get there. And this is me already telling you. I'm not trying to hype you up. I'm not trying to give you a false promise. I'm not trying to give you a false misconception of how trading is. Trading isn't that way. You have to put the time in. You have to journal yourself. I can't hold you and feed that information into your brain. You need the screen time. You need to journal. Without journaling, you're not able to recognize those patterns. Without journaling, you're not able to see what went good and what went bad. Without journaling, you're not able to see the mistakes you've made. Journaling is the reason why you're able to recognize certain things. And remember gold, 20th of August, 1920 August, when we had the 3-gap day. If it wasn't because of my journaling and recognizing those patterns, recognizing those markets, I wouldn't have been able to get a 10-hour trade out of it. Please journal. I can hold your hand through the framework, through the model, through the theory, through the practical work. I can hold your hand through the education. But how you use it, that's on you. You have to put in the hard work. So please bear that in mind. What it is real education, structured learning, real charts, as I said, real executions. It's professional mindset and tools, the tools that I use. How to distinguish yourself from someone that's just starting out and a professional. Context-driven strategies. Honest expectations about the work required, as I just mentioned. What this is not. No signals in here. I'm not going to tell you in the bootcamp what to buy or sell. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, It's not a golden ticket to instant profitability. It's not a magic system that trades for you, It's not that you follow everything in the framework that I say, There are cases, I have a 60% win rate ratio, Not every time, even though I follow my system 100%, every day, which I try to, there are still 4 out of 10 cases where my strategy will not work. And that's very normal as any strategy in the world. Any strategy in the world, anything above the 80% win rate ratio is a lie. That's just impossible. I've been in this industry for too long to already tell you don't get fooled by it. So when you're trading, and it could be a time where you're following everything perfectly, and then the trade doesn't work, hit your stop loss, and you start getting mad, you have to realize it's normal. It's normal. You have to make sure that on times where it does work, you get the most money out of it, and in times it doesn't work, you understand that, you don't fight it, and you're like, okay, I take my small loss, and tomorrow a new day. It's not easy. It requires work. It requires real work. You have to put in the work. I can't emphasize on this enough. You have to put in the work. You could already look at me, like I trade 12 hours a day nearly. I do all of this on the side, and yet I still journal every day, So I doubt that you guys are as busy as I am. I doubt that. So please journal. It's just you have to put in the work. The raw truth, you must put in the work. You could see how many times I've mentioned that. Screen time, practice, repetition, they're non-negotiable. There are no shortcuts to becoming consistently profitable. Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Do yourself a favor. Understand that getting into trading requires real work. If you're not built for it, quit. Quit before you're in the rabbit hole. Do something else. Do something with AI. Do something with coding. Don't get into trading if you're not built for it. And I'm telling you, what the thing, I'm trying to keep this as real as possible. If you're not able to understand how the markets work, if you're not able to put in the time, if you're not able to go all the way to the trenches, hate yourself, fight yourself, if you're not able to go through all of that, please don't do this. Trading is already difficult enough. Don't think it just, I'm just going to make some little money on the side. It doesn't work that way. So please, if you're not able to put in the work, quit while you still can. And I'll be completely honest with you. Find yourself as a trader. It's a journey. It's a marathon, It's not a race. Chill down, Take all the information you can. Compound that information. 1% every day better is around 14,000% better in a year. Compound that knowledge every day. Don't rush it, You're not going to make millions in the first year. You're not going to make millions in the second year. You might in the third and fourth and fifth year, But don't rush it, The market will be there. The market will be there tomorrow. The market will be there in a year. It will be there in the next 10 years. It will be there in the next 20 years. Chill, Don't rush the process. Find yourself as a trader. This bootcamp gives you the tools, but you need to discover what works for you and your personality, risk tolerance, and lifestyle. Give yourself time. Don't rush. Absorb the information. Build a strong foundation. A slow start with solid fundamentals beats rushing and failing later. You would rather build a strong foundation, strong core to your building, and then in the next year build onto that, than have all leakages in your core and then next year stumble upon problems that you should have already fixed in the first year. And trust me, you don't want to do that, because that's what I went through. And that's it. This is episode 1 of the bootcamp. And I see it's around 35 minutes uncut. Trying to keep it as raw as possible. I think I was able to give you guys a good idea on what's about to come. Episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, episode 5 will all be coming. I could probably somewhere, once I finalize the whole plan, also put it on there so you could expect, so you already know what to expect on the roadmap of this bootcamp. I hope this introduction gave you a good idea on who I am, who we are as Sheikh Trades, and what we are trying to bring with this bootcamp, what we are trying to give you guys in general in the trading career. And I hope that whether you're a swing trader, intraday trader, whatever you are, that you're able to pick up from the good points that I have acquired over the past couple of years. Join my Discord, watch my YouTube videos, keep an eye out on my YouTube. They'll obviously be there. But most importantly, any questions you have, anything you want to know, any clarification you want to have, I'm on Discord 24/7 basically. This is my life. This is what I do. Bye-bye.